Tell us what you didn't learn there that you think you should be taught at least in medical school.
On Real Time with Bill Maher on Friday, Cassie Means was on. I had Callie Means, her husband, on here a couple weeks ago, but they've written a wonderful book, and they've been right in the center of what's going on with our farming and the amount of pesticides in our food and all of this stuff. And she went on Bill Maher to talk about what's been going on with our health system and how RFK now plays into a sort of new wide tent thing that the Republicans seem to be doing.
RFK, you and I do have something in common, which is that for a long time we've all been saying, well, the system as it is, the way we do health, is already very So maybe he'll make it worse, but like my head is not exploding about it.
That's good.
And so I saw you do this, where I got familiar with you, this video you did where you said you graduated Stanford Medical?
Yes.
And the video was called something like, I learned nothing there, about what was important. Tell us what you didn't learn there that you think you should be taught at least in medical school.
Right, it's astonishing. It's not an overstatement to say that in my 4 years of Stanford undergrad, 4 years of Stanford Medical School, and 4.5 years of surgical training, I did not learn a single thing about what is really making Americans sick, the true root causes of the chronic disease epidemic that's devastating and torturing American lives. The things like the impact of ultra-processed food on our health, the incredible 80,000 synthetic toxins that are our food, water, air, our personal care products, the fact that there's been 6 billion tons of plastic produced since 1907 that have entered our food, our water, even our air. The fact that 6 billion pounds of synthetic pesticides are sprayed on our global food supply every year. The average child in America is spending less time outdoors than a maximum security prisoner, and yet sunlight actually dictates a huge portion of our biology. So these modifiable aspects of holistic living that directly impact our cellular health are just not being talked about. We're really focused on silos in the American healthcare system. We have over 100 medical and surgical subspecialties. And what happens is we miss the forest for the trees of the root causes of what's making Americans sick. And I think what happened on Election Day this year is that Americans came out and said, we want to bend the curve of the chronic disease epidemic that is destroying American potential. And I think RFK represents someone who's willing to take that on.
Yeah. Now, look, if he had said, I'm going to ban vaccines, I would be very against it. But he said just the other day, he said, no, choice. If you want them, you have them. It's not going to be mandated. That's, I think, what a lot of people objected to before. I mean, I've said it many times. There are some pathogens that if they were going around, I would fight you for the vaccine.
Right.
And there are others that, I just didn't want, like the one we just had. But you said so many things there that, I feel like I've been saying for many years, and people kind of look at you like you're crazy, because I think they just are in this world of doctors know everything. And I think you're telling us in medical school you learn doctors don't. I always say, if they know everything, why do you always have to get a second opinion?
Well, if they knew everything.
You're saying it's an opinion. And by the way, the second one never matches the first one.
All right, people, to tell you what an incredible journalist I am. I don't purport to be a journalist, but sometimes people say, Dave, you're a journalist. I don't know, I'm a guy that tells you what I think for a living. I like to fact check, and I have been fact checked in real time right now. I just said a moment ago that Casey and Callie Means are married. They're brother and sister. As far as I know, they're not married. Complete screw up by me, and I have no problem addressing it, apologizing to both of them. And we don't, and we here at the Rubin Report, we don't endorse brother-sister marriage. Let's leave it at that. The point of all of that, though, is that what Casey illustrated there was, I'm not a crazy Republican, and maybe we don't agree on all of this stuff, but the Trump thing that embraced RFK, it does transcend politics because health transcends politics. So chronic disease and thinking about vaccines and the vaccine schedule and all of these things, it shouldn't have become political, but the Democrats wanted nothing to do with it as we get fat and have all of these endless diseases and all of these psychological problems and all of the stuff that we all know. The Democrats completely ignored it. Trump decided to embrace it. And now here I am on this side of the aisle.